So last class, we discussed about visualization. So we have started to discuss visualization. Still discussing that part. We have two more sections, three more sections to discuss. AI. Last line here, you Okay, another three more sections we should discuss. Artificial intelligence, AI, RPA, robotic process automation, and last one, important one, cybersecurity. Okay. So quickly we will go through these sections, and after that we will do some questions. And today we are going to discuss. We are going to start internal control. That's important subject. I think internal controls, other aspects. The first time you are going to learn. Whatever internal control we have discussed in business process, those are examples. Those are internal control examples. Okay. Internal control chapter, we are not going to discuss about examples. Anyway, examples will come, but we are not going to focus 100% on examples. Other aspects of internal control we are going to discuss in internal control chapter. I will discuss in detail after finishing these sections. So today we will start the session with artificial intelligence. So what are the topics we discussed last week under utilization? Now discuss right. Utilization is one discuss right last week. Our topics we discussed under utilization. Up here. First topic. Fintech. What is meant by fintech? Fintech in another. Digital financial technology. Examples for fintech. Online banking. Payment. Lending and borrowings and investments. Investments through online banking. Those are also examples for fintech. Second topic, blockchain. So when it comes to blockchain, certain words, certain topics you should remember. What are those words? I have given short notes also last week. It's a decentralized process. Okay. No any intermediate person involved. What else? What is decentralization process and no any intermediate person involved, both are same. Blockchain has distributed ledgers. If you enter one transaction, the transactions can be seen by other network people, whoever available in the network. Those people also can see the transaction. So once you enter the transactions, you cannot change the transaction. You change the transaction, then what will happen? You change the transaction, what will happen? Cannot change කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයාට change කරන්න බෑ කියලා නෙමෙයි meaning. Change බව මොනවද වෙන්නේ? For example, chapter society over. Let's say you and your 4 friends are in the WhatsApp group. You have sent one message. Okay, you have sent one message. Now, if you want to immediately delete, okay, you can give delete all option. But after some time, you can't delete others' phone. You can't delete in others' phone, but you can delete in your phone. Option again, delete all option again. Likewise, here also, once you enter the transaction, that transaction will be appeared in others' ledgers also. Okay. If you change that transaction with the hash, okay, with the hash means reference number. With the hash, that transaction will be recorded in the distributed ledger. If you want to change that transaction, automatically that will give alert to others. You can change, but that hash reference number reference will be changed only in your ledger. It won't be changed in others' ledger. Okay, so then automatically it will be captured. change how we know. So distributed ledger, decentralized process, no any intermediate person involvement. Each and every transaction has hash. The technical word called hash. In layman language, we can say the reference number, reference number or reference words. Sorry, reference letters. What else we discuss on the blockchain? One more important point we discuss. Definition discuss blockchain. Short form discuss distributed ledger, decentralization process, intermediate person involvement, and each and every transaction has hash or reference number. Most important thing, every person involved in the network has blocks. Each and every block, each and every transactions will be entered in the block, and next block will contain previous block hash reference number. Okay, so third block will contain second block transaction. So likewise, automatic backup system also there. If anyone hacks your first block, then he can hack only first block. Second block he can't touch. So then, if anyone hackers are if any hackers change your details in the block one, then automatically you can capture something happened to the block one, but original data you can trace from the block, second block. These are the important factors you have to remember about blockchain. Third topic of the blockchain. The third topic we discuss. Big data. Under big data, what are the characters? Big data means what are the characters should be available with the big data? Big data should have these qualities or these characters. What are those? Movies, Four V's. What is it mean by four V's? Firstly, volume. Second V, variety. Third V, velocity and velocity. Some may say 5 V's or 3 V's, but just to understand 4 V's now. Okay. So next topic after big data, data analytics. What is meant by data analytics? චුට්ටකින් තියෙන එක එහෙම කරපාරම් කරන්න එපා කරපාරම් කරන්න බෑ මේක IT සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක්නේ IT වගේ එකක් නේ මේක කොහොමද මෙමරි එකේ තියන්න බෑ concept එක understand කරගන්න that is enough what is mean by data analytics the topic itself explaining the definition data analytics means analyze the data if you have unstructured data from that, you should get structured information or structured data. How you can get by analyzing the data. So what is meant by data analysis? The pattern and correlations should be analyzed. Based on that analysis, you should convert unstructured data to structured data. From that structured data, you can make valuable decisions. For example, if we take an organization, in that organization, if they analyze the customer pattern with the correlations, then they can make certain decisions like what are the products have high demand, then they can purchase those products. What are the products have low demand, then they can reduce that purchase. So likewise, they can make certain decisions. Not only customer, machinery maintenance, machine maintenance, and supplier data. So likewise, we can take some valuable decision based on the data analysis. So big data also same concept. Okay, data analysis and structured data information same. So big data same big data my examples give machineries, customers, supplier, those are the few examples. If you have what is meant by big data? The big data characters we discussed. What is meant by big data? If anyone asks you about the big data, what's the first definition you will give? Large volume of information. How it will help to organization? If you have large volume of information, based on that information, you can make some decisions. Okay. So the large volume of information should have in the proper manner. So if large volume of information are in unstructured manner, then you have to convert it to structure. That is called data analysis. Finally, all are related to the data, information. Okay. So data analysis we discussed. So now we are going to discuss about fifth topic, AI. So this is very, very simple, one straightforward thing. Example of AI. AI කියලා මොකද blockchain වගේ මම explanation දෙන්න ඕනේ. What are the examples for AI? Okay. That's it. It's at the end. AI. Example for AI. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, defense system. Yeah, defense system. Yeah, defense system. Okay, fine. You got that again? Examples like blockchain, I don't need to explain too much. Blockchain is an advanced concept and it will be, we are not familiar with the blockchain. So I wanted to explain in detail. So AI is a simple one. I don't need to explain too much AI. First of all, you should know about the examples of AI. So these are the examples. Okay. Robot is a ChatGPT is a system. So what is sales and business forecasting? If automatically system gives sales and forecast details, that is also a analysis of transaction data from numerous sources. Smart personal Alexa, that's also a process automation. Email spam filters, which log emails or diverting. That is also a automated responders and online customer support. Automated response team then mails then leave now. Mails automatically reply. Okay, automatic reply sent by the system. That is a fraud detection and RPA robotic process automation. So these are the few examples of AI. So from this example, what you can understand. These are examples. Okay, fine. From these examples, what you can understand. What are the activities done by this AI? Let's say sometime back 10, 15 years back, who did these activities? Example then question easy question. Who did these activities 10 years, 15 years back, or 20 years back? People, humans. So now, who is doing these activities? Answer that. Humans, people. Then go the then go the example measures. Okay. Then what you can understand with this connection, machine or system performs human work. The thing, okay. In order to perform human work, what are the things needed for machines? 10 years, 10, 20 years before, humans, people, normal people, did these activities. Now, machines are doing. So, in order to perform this task, what are the things machine need? Let's say 5 years ago, simply 5 years before, then over now, let's say recently you have joined an organization. Okay. Yes, I want the job you have joined. In order to perform that job in future, certain things you need. What are things you need? Qualification, experience, that is okay. But in order to perform certain specific tasks in relation to that specific company, you need certain knowledge. Okay. So from whom you will get those knowledge? Your accountant recently appointed as an accountant for ABC Private Limited. Okay, you know accounting, you know accounting standard and practical knowledge also you know. You have and theoretical knowledge, experience, everything you have, no issue. But specifically, in order to perform certain tasks in that specific particular company, you need certain things. Taken again in training here, specific company. 1 or 2 days are training company. So from whom you will get those information? So that's previous employee or your superior. So in order to perform certain things, you have to learn. Okay. So the same example, 20 years back, human or people did these activities. Now, those activities are done by machines. In order to perform those activities by machines or systems, that system needs what? Information that system needs. So that information we have to give it. Okay, that information we have to pass on. So 20 years before, normal people did those activities. Now machines are doing. So in order to perform those tasks by machines, machine need informations or knowledge. Okay, so that knowledge should be transferred to the machines. That is called machine learning. Then automatically make a program කරන්න ඕනේ. නිකන් කරන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් ChatGPT මොන දෙයක් උත්තර දෙනවා නම් මොනවද? That has been programmed like that. Okay, whatever you ask, it provides information for your answers. In order to provide answers, that system must be programmed. So, algorithms අර තියෙනවනේ. ඒකෙන් තමයි program කරන්නේ. So that is called machine learning. Okay, system should learn. Then only that system will provide required information. So that is called machine learning. Okay, now define AI. Simply then define current AI. Whatever did by humans, now those things are done by machines. So here, artificial intelligence against computer system perform tasks that would usually require human intelligence. Okay, 10 years before, 20 years before, with human people did those activities. So now that human intelligence given to systems. How that process taking place? Through machine learning. Okay, we have to use inputs now. Then only the humans are included. Then only that transfer called transition called machine learning. Artificial intelligence is when the computer system performs tasks that would usually require human intelligence. In order to perform these tasks, the computer essentially needs to learn. Okay, the system should learn from human. Then only it can perform. Machine learning is the construction of AI algorithms that learns from series of inputs and outputs. As a result of this learning, a final algorithm is generated that can predict an answer be provided with input. Okay, simple definition is computer system performs tasks that would usually require human intelligence. Examples. These are the examples. Okay. Here, any doubt? A straightforward thing. These are the, you can't limit up to these 7 points. Okay. Lot of things are there. I have given only 7 points. A examples. So next topic, robotic process automation. So robotic process automation also one of the AI. Okay. So here, what is the difference between normal AI and robotic process automation? RPA also AI. Okay. What is the special character available in RPA? RPA means robotic process is the use of AI to handle high volume repetitive tasks that humans would previously have performed. Okay, if any task repetitively should be performed, those tasks can be done through RPA. Okay, that's the difference. RPA also AI. The AI ka RPA ka okay. RPA also one of the AI. So special character repetitive task. High volume repetitive tasks will be done by RPA. So examples of RPA, accounting, repetitive task in HR functions, repetitive task in financial services, and procurement and supply chain. So these are the repetitive tasks happen in the organization. So for these transactions, these tasks, RPA can be used. Any confusion RPA? May chapter and may level that. Okay. Detail one, I think you will learn in IT. Except that yeah. That's that. May leveling. Yeah. Last. Okay, so here you should know about the concept. What is meant by AI, and examples, what is meant by RP, and examples, what is meant by blockchain. Those basic knowledge is enough in your level. Okay. Last topic, most important concept is current scenario of cyber security. Okay, it's also vast area and most important area. So cyber security is concerned with the protection of systems, networks, and data in cyberspace. Okay, then cyber attacks cyber security word nowadays very important thing. Cyber security part in future, in Sri Lankan context, definitely near future, without cyber security in some according to or any other operations. Okay, without cyber security, they can't run their business. Near future, definitely it will happen. Nowadays, automatic importance cyber security, not like 10 years before. Okay, so in near future, definitely it will be a important. It will play important role in organization function. Okay, so cyber security is concerned with the protection of systems, networks, and data in cyberspace. Again, I'm saying this definition of cyber security. Cyber security is concerned with the protection of systems, networks, and data in cyberspace. What are the things secured in this process? Systems, network, and data. System, network, data. These three will contain all the information related to the organization. Okay. Then organization and the organization gives inputs of course store in a everything. From sales to not provision. Okay. Let's say accounting transactions are stored in ERP system. That is also cyberspace. Okay. Procurement process, sales process, payment process, HR activity. Every activity we can limit. If we take an organization A to Z, every activities are stored in computer system nowadays. Okay, so systems, network, data in cyberspace. What is meant by cyberspace? What are the information? First, you have to understand what are the information secured by this process, through this process. So, what are the information systems, network, and data? Okay, may tunama input venawa organization anything ever data. Inputs information stigma may categorization. What is meant by cyberspace? Cyberspace is the environment in which communication over IT networks take place. Okay, not only within the organization. If you send mails to outsiders, that is also cyberspace. Okay, cyberspace is the environment in which communication over IT network take place. Wherever IT network take place, that environment called cyberspace. Now just think, if you take an organization, what is the environment we call as cyberspace? In the organization, everything will come under cyberspace. Outside also, if you deal with any transaction, that is also will come under cyberspace. If you send any mails, that is also cyberspace. Okay. So cyberspace is the environment in which communication over IT network take place. Okay. The frequency of cyber attacks on IT systems used by organization is continuing to rise at alarming rate. So why cybersecurity is important? Information in to the organizations are stored in cyberspace. Okay. If anyone hacks those information, then what will happen? It will be a problem to the company. Let's say banks. Banks have sensitive customer data information. Their personal details also they have. So if anyone hacks bank's details, what will happen? From the bank, I took example because banks is important. Banks are very important when it comes to the business world. Okay, current environment. So not only bank, other organizations also have customers details. Customer details, sensitive information are there. So if anyone hacks, he can easily correct those information. Then what will happen? Sometimes that bank or loan organization will face legal cases. Those legal cases can be put by relevant affected person. Customer. So bank means bank's customer. So let's say your informations have been hacked by someone through the bank system. Then what will happen? You can put legal case because that cyber security part is not work properly in the bank. That's why they have act. No, cyber security on the bank. So you can put case against the relevant organization. The relevant organizations also can argue. I don't say that decision will come to your favor, but you have right. So this cyber security is playing vital role when it comes to the organization activities. The frequency of cyber attacks on the IT system used by organization is continuing to rise at alarming rate. Okay. External threats to cyberspace. What are the general famous cyber attacks? Hacking. Okay. Again, hacker know. Cyber security threat killer out of say one of the Islam in example. If I say cyber attacks for cyber security, what is the first example you will get it to your mind? Simple one, hackers. Threats now emerge from criminal group and hackers. Second one, phishing mails. Phishing mails are the what is meant by phishing mails? Mail से ना आने, mail link को open करना है, नहीं? Messages से ना आने, एक link को open करना है नहीं? That's called phishing mails. So phishing mails may be used to attract people to visit the website where they are asked to update secure information, such as passwords, credit card details, social security details, or bank account numbers. That the legitimate organization already has. So sometimes you may receive the links to click that link, and sometimes information might be asked. Certain information, certain sensitive information might be asked. So if you give those information, then it will harm to you. So that's what phishing mails. The growing numbers of servers, mobile devices, and cloud computing applications which are used increases the number of ways which hackers can gain access to data. So nowadays, smartphones, we are day to day, we are dealing with the IT systems. Simple example is our phone. Phone again in the bank. So that is also IT result of IT evolution. Smartphones. So the growing number of servers, mobile devices, and cloud computing applications which are used increases the number of ways in which hackers can gain access to data. Let's say 20 years before, okay, 25 years before, all the accounting transactions, accounting records, in this example, all the accounting related transactions and accounting records have been recorded in books, manual books. Okay. 25 years, 30 years before we come to all the accounting transactions have been obtained manual books. Then a manual book again data's manual book then manual book data one of the possible ways. What are the possible ways available to delete those records? I'm asking manual books. I will come to later. Manual books. Someone can take that book. What else? So chances are, so let's say you are the person maintaining those records and you are the person keep that book at your cupboard or drawer. So the chances of delete those records are very less because that is under your custody. You have a cyber security book. You have a book okay. That's the maximum. Maximum protection. So that's the maximum protection. So as a result of evolution of IT, so nowadays these accounting records are stored in computer systems. Okay. Computer system also, in the next level, you can see those information through cloud facilities. So anywhere you can see those informations with the cloud facility. So because of this evolution, this growth, we are getting a lot of benefits. Okay. Then 30 years before, if you want to take any information from the accounting system, that accounting system means that book, manual book. So definitely you have to go to relevant place. Then only you can get the information. Nowadays, through this cloud information and cloud facilities, wherever you are, you can collect those information through these cloud systems. So on this side, you will get more advantages. At the same time, threats also will increase. Okay. IT evolution එක අපිට threat එකක් වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඔයාට cloud system through access කරන්න පුළුවන් නම්, if you can access the cloud system, protections are there. I'm not saying protections are not there, but if you can access those information remotely, then hackers also can. The facilities available. Hackers also can access the relevant data remotely. So this side advantage also there. At the same time, threats also there. Okay, that's the point I wanted to explain here. The growing numbers of servers, mobile devices, and cloud computing applications. Through this, you will get more advantages. At the same time, which are used increases number of ways which hackers can gain access to data. Okay. On this side, you will gain a lot of advantages. At the same time, threats also there. Security failures can have far wider applications than only affecting the organization IT system. This may include reputation damage, loss of intellectual property, and disruption to operations. What is meant by this point? But the point explained through these two lines: security failures. Just now I have given an example. If bank systems hacked by hackers, then they can access this customer's information. Then relevant customer can file the case against relevant bank. Security failures can have far wider implications that only affecting the organization IT systems. These may include reputation damage. Then monori bank cyber attack reputation damage loss of intellectual property and disruption to operation. So these are the threats or disadvantages if cyber security is not properly worked. Okay. How cyber security can be strengthened in the organization. Next topic, under cyber security, you should know about 3 topics. First one, what is meant by cyber security? Second one, what are the current threats in cyber security and how those threats can be mitigated, or another way, we can tell how cyber security can be strengthened in the organization. Okay. To address the challenges presented by such threats, senior managements are having to more promote and awareness of cyber security throughout the organization. So what are the activities they should implement to strengthen their cyber security? Here, so these are the activities. So here I have given 7 points, but you don't need to memorize all these 7 points. Just remember 4 or 5 points. Okay, any 4 or 5 points you should remember. So no need to remember all these 7 points, and no need to remember entire this paragraph. Okay. So most important thing, you can remember only 4 or 5 points. There are also I have highlighted keywords. Okay, keywords you can write. You should write keywords with your explanation. Okay, making cybersecurity issues for those not working in the organization's IT department easiest to understand. So the cybersecurity and IT-related words and concepts are not easily understandable. Then cybersecurity IT here a keyword IT background, cybersecurity background, quickly capture the user friendly a word sticker. Then what is user friendly? What is word sticker? All what is IT cybersecurity word sticker user friendly. Understand. So making cybersecurity issues for those not working in the organization's IT department. If any words or any knowledge, if you want to transfer to IT people in relation to the cybersecurity, that is easy because they know the concept. If HR people, or marketing people, or accounting people, or production department. So if you want to transfer information into the cybersecurity, we can't use technical words. If we use technical words, they can't understand. So we have to, but our objective is we have to transfer information about importance of cybersecurity. So if we don't implement cybersecurity, what will happen? So what are the cybersecurities we have to? What are the cybersecurity activities we have to implement? So those information must be transferred to the organization people in order to easily understand. Okay, so that information must be transferred. The concept of this first point is cyber security related information must be transferred to non-IT people in order to understand easily. Okay, the way they should understand easily. That's the first point. Employing a chief information security officer to help communicate the threats posed by cyber risk should help other employees understand their role when using the organization. So for second strategy, chief information officer must be appointed. So that officer will help other employees to understand the importance of cyber security and what is their role in relation to the cyber security. Clear? So what is the first point? First, in order to enhance the awareness among the, in order to increase the awareness of cyber security among the organization people, what is the first step organization should take? This most important thing, cyber security. Okay. First thing, importance of cyber security must be communicated to non-IT people the way they can easily understand. Okay, that's the first point. Second point, chief information security officer should be appointed to communicate these things and implement these things, cyber security activities. Okay. reorganizing roles and responsibilities to ensure that there is accountability for cybersecurity matters within the organization. So here, this should help ensure that in the event of cyber attack, there is a team of individuals with required responsibility to address the matter. Responsibilities and roles. Roles and responsibilities must be communicated to the employees. What is their roles and responsibility in relation to the cyber security? Okay, first one, easily we have to communicate importance of cyber security in the way easily understandable. Second one, chief information safety officer should be appointed to communicate cybersecurity information to the organization field. Third point, roles and responsibilities of people in relation to cybersecurity should be defined properly. Then only they will know what are the responsibilities they have when it comes to cyber attacks. Determining accountability for cyber risk and the strategic attacks. A member of the board should be assigned responsibility for heading on cybersecurity matters. Having a member of the board in this role should help promote by among all employees that the senior management take the issue seriously. This should help to create cybersecurity conscious culture. Determining accountability for cyber risk and the strategic effects. In the board, we take an organization in the board. Board should have 5 or 6, more than 2 or 3 board of directors. Okay, so out of those directors, one person should be responsible for this cyber security and IT work. Okay, so that's the point explaining. Learning from past security breaches. So we should learn certain things from our past mistakes. Okay, from that we can improve future cybersecurity activity. Determining the organization's tolerance to cyber risk is an important step in designing management strategies. Determining the organization tolerance to the cyber risk is an important step in designing management strategy. So you should remember first 1, 2, 3, 4. First 5 is enough. Okay, if you remember first 5 points are, that is enough. So I have given additionally 2 points. So that in that 5 also, most important thing is highlighted one. I have highlighted in blue. So that is the important point. With that point, without changing the concept, you can elaborate the answer. Okay, so you don't need to remember all the sentences what I have given here. Remember this main highlighted point and elaborate the answer without changing the concept. Okay, so other words you can use your own words. No issue without changing the concept. Clear? Okay, so quickly do this question. So with this, we have completed business process. So now we will do this question. After that, payroll process also we have questions. 3 small questions are there. After that, business process questions also we will attend. Then we will move on to internal question. I will give assignment next class. Okay. 2%. So you don't need to write question, okay? Just write the answer. Questions are available in the tube. So just write the answer. A or B or C or D. And 4 V's also you don't need to write. You know the answer that's enough. Don't need to write the 4 V's because already that's available in the tube. So what's the answer for first question? Which of the following best describes AI? Can I study correct? Which of the following best describes AI? A, B, C, is the answer. Which of the following best describes RPA? What's the answer? What's the key point? The D. D is the right answer. How you have identified D is the answer? Definitive task. So 4 V's already we discussed now. Volume, variety, capacity, velocity. Right answer for this question. Zero. So you won't get this type of questions in your examination. Again, I'm saying, so examination type of questions, what we are discussing, separate questions we are discussing. No? I have given separate question. So those types of questions only will come. A similar question. Those type of questions will only come in the exam. So these are just the revision. We know to recollect your knowledge only what we have discussed in the classroom. So recollect purpose only these questions are given. Exam type questions are similar to other tube questions. Okay, separate tube I have given. 7 questions are there. First 3 chapters. So what's the answer for first question? Biometric devices may be used in attendance recording system to identify employees by means of fingerprint or eyes. So the common word we can say physical characters. Okay. So if you write fingerprint, also write answer fingerprint or the palm or eye. So these are the physical characters. The answer is physical characteristics. Get the elegant and leaves work each day. Which of the following documents prepared by the HR department? What's the document prepared by the HR department? 1 or 2, but here only 1. Okay. So, A. B. B called prepared. C. Recruitment requisition form. Who is the preparer for request form? The payroll process, first step, recruitment requisition form must be approved by the line manager. Then who should prepare? HR will involve after appointment. Okay, for beginning, before all the process will be done by relevant division. So recruitment requisition form is not prepared by the HR. Staff appointment form only prepared by HR. Answer is D. Staff appointment form. Recruitment requisition form is coming from relevant department. Okay, HR will not solve that process. Third one, a payroll reconciliation checks that. What's the purpose of payroll reconciliation? We discussed. Deductions paid equal to gross pay. So net payment plus deduction equal to gross amount. So here right net pay, here deductions equal to gross pay. An employee should notify changes in their banking details to whom? An employee should notify changes in their banking details to whom? Payroll of scale. May have a question second money as a process again. If you make it, what are the payroll processing process? An employee should notify changes in their banking details to whom? HR. HR only give those details to payroll officer. So directly employee and payroll officer, they are not any connections. Okay. So all the information first after joining the organization, HR should create the master file. Okay, those information, initial step, those information must be given by the HR to payroll officer. After that, end of the month also, certain details must be given by the HR to payroll officer in order to run the payroll. Okay, so all the information must be transferred from HR to payroll officer. So here, employee doesn't give any information directly to payroll officer. Clear? Clearly keep in your mind. Employees of the organization don't give information directly to payroll officer. Those information, whatever required information are transferred to payroll officer through HR. Okay, information are given to HR. HR will give to payroll officer. So, right payroll mind map. So in the flow chart, we discuss So this payroll process we discuss from employee joining to salary settlement. So in the payroll process, when you are discussing the payroll process, I emphasize one matter. In this payroll process, our focus salary settlements, not recruitment, those kind of things. Okay. So our point is, our critical point is how salaries are settled to employees. So what are the process adopted by the organizations to settle the salary from joining to settlement? So here we discuss new employees. Creating payroll. So under this process, certain key topics we discuss: new recruitment and how payroll report is created, creating payroll report. First, from recruitment to salary settlement means that process we discuss. Okay. In that process, what are the key headings we discuss? New employee recruitment, major part creating payroll report. In order to create the payroll report, what are the information should be given by the HR? What are the information? What are the information which should be transferred by HR to payroll officer? Payroll rate salaries. Whoever join left during the month, salary increments, reduction details, leave details, which means attendance details. Okay, this all information should be given right. It's up to payroll. Next topic we discuss. Attendance records. Under attendance records, two things we discuss. What are those topics? Subtopics. Attendance records, two things we discuss. Under attendance records, two methods we discuss. What are those methods? Can we discuss the biometrics here? So attendance records can be taken through charts or hard or biometrics basis, physical characteristics. So these are the topics we discussed under payroll process. We can also discuss करा. We can also discuss करा. We cover it. पता मत study करना self study. What are the topics we discuss under business purpose? 7 topics. Order again. Sales. Procurement. Utilization. Notes ready. Short notes notes ready. Okay. For it again. Reduce color. Okay. Thank you. First notes again. Restore. Very can't help. The move to Isa may like what take no somewhere out the so feel notes up what notes what is this side that's the nature here you can't reduce too much options then you can't understand it. That's why I'm saying even though I have given the paragraphs, certain paragraphs you don't need to memorize. Just understand the concept and you can write by using no on. The important point is wherever I highlight so it's point you to take and you can use your words. You don't need to memorize these things, entire paragraph. That's not the job. Okay. So, okay. After 4 questions, you have completed all 3. Both questions completed or not? What is sort of exploration? Okay. Write the answer. Both question. One by one we'll discuss. Answer only go fourth question. It's not an isolation. Why purchase order is used? What's the purpose of using purchase order? Briefly explain the following documents or records used in the procurement process. At which point purchase order is used? Just tell me, what are the steps involved in the procurement process? What are the steps involved in the procurement process? Just see that it's short form. What are the process? This is related to the procurement process. This question is related to the procurement process. So, what are the process involved in the what are the process involved in the procurement? What are the activities? First one. Identify need for purchase. Second one. Second one. Price and quantity. You got it. Third one. Selling quotation. Fourth. Supplier selection. After selection of supplier. Purchase is okay. Again. Purchase orders. Next one. Selling goods. What's the source document for receiving goods? Yeah. Next. After receiving the goods. If return is there, you have to return. Always it won't be applicable, but if any returns or damaged goods are there, you should follow that process. Return. After that, invoice plus and pay. So here, out of that activities, 2 documents. Question has asked to explain about 2 documents, which are purchase order and price quotation. So when it comes to purchase order, you have to write 2 or 3 points. Okay. So what are the points you should write? Already that's available to you. So first point, purchase order is sent by or prepared by purchasing department. Purchase order prepared by purchasing department. Purchase order is prepared by the purchasing department. This is the confirmation of is the confirmation of purchase. In bracket, then confirmation of purchase purchase receipt bracket is the confirmation of order. This is the confirmation of order. The confirmation of order. Price quotation. Price quotation. Right answer. Customer inquiries. Customer inquires about price and quantity. Price and quantity of the required price and quantity of the required item or items. Okay. Required items, stock item. Then supplier or seller will send information related to supplier or seller will send information related to price information related to price and availability of stocks. Information related to price and availability of stock. Supplier of seller is information of price and availability of stock of the required item or items to buyer through price quotation. So if you are asked to write or if you are asked to briefly explain this type of concepts or documents or process, you should check how many marks are given for the relevant question. If, let's say, if purchase order 3 marks and price question 3 marks, this is the answer you should get. So you know need to write half page for 3 marks. Okay. So if 2 or 3 marks are given to this type of questions, just write 3 or 4 lines. That is enough for each part. Then you can gain marks, no issue. So 3 marks at a half page time you waste. Yes. So if you write 2 or 3 points is sufficient. Second, fifth question, discuss 3 issues that should be evaluated. Discuss 3 issues that should be evaluated when selecting a supplier for large quantities, and relevant evaluation methods can be used to assess each issue's effectiveness. Discuss 3 issues that should be evaluated. But what are the areas tested here? Issues to be evaluated and evaluation methods. Okay, when you are selecting supplier, discuss 3 issues that should be evaluated when selecting supplier. So this side, issues and evaluation methods, right side. When you are selecting the supplier, what are the issues to be evaluated and how you can evaluate those issues? What are the issues we have to evaluate? So, what are the things first? Just go through the supply selection and the procurement process. Detailed notes are short notes. Just go through the notes. What you have mentioned in the notebook. Okay, the screen I have given short form. In short form. What are the things we have to first consider before selecting a supplier? Financial stability. First, I have given 2 things. First, 2 common things we have to evaluate. First, that's not the answer. But first, in the short notes, you can refer the short notes. 2 things before selection supplier, you should consider 2 main things. One is financial. Stability. Second one, operation. So these 2 things we have to consider. Second steps, these are the common thing we have to consider. Main thing. Second topic we discuss 4, 5 issues and evaluation method. What are those evaluations? What are those issues and what are the evaluation methods? First, operational reliability and financial stability we have to consider. That operational reliability and financial stability can be elaborated further. That's how I told you. Okay. That financial stability and operational reliability can be elaborated further into 5 sections, 5 topics, or 5 points. What are those 5 points? 5 or 6, 5 or 4? Table of the due date. सबको भी आन कॉपी दे ओकरा तो टीम के दिन सबको भी आन कॉपी दे उनका कॉपी आती है ना नहीं एक बार उनका कॉपी सबको हार्ड सबना होने के बाद ना आटा पेपर एक बार ना कंप्यूटर प्रोसेसिंग under supplier selection इन क्वेश्चन से अगर रीड करना हो बेटा एवरी संडे तो विवरण क्वेश्चन से रीड करना हो ना एक क्वेश्चन से करना रीजन निकालना रिवीजन का देखते हैं not only find the answers okay just recap all these things whatever we have discussed in last 6 class 5 classes okay the purpose of doing the questions there are two purposes first one is by doing the questions you have to do the revision and second one write the answer okay so while you are doing the questions just recap what we are studying so under supplier selection under procurement process subtopic supplier selection there are two things we have to consider financial stability and operational reliability that financial stability and operational reliability can be elaborated further once you elaborate you can get 4 points what are the issues to be evaluated for, when you select the supplier you can refer the table what table I have seen table phone again yeah that's the table so what's the first point whether that supplier can deliver required quantity so second one first point again first one whether that supplier can deliver required quantity second one whether the supplier can deliver continuously. Third one, whether products are quality. Fourth one, ethical issues. First one, required quantity whether can be delivered. What is the evaluation method? Sometimes I have even 3-4 reference for one issues. So one is enough. Right, one or two that is enough. Okay. So whether that supplier can deliver continuously or not, how can we assess? Obtain financial statements. His financial stability must be evaluated. So the financial statement should be taken. Bank references. Quality. Whether products are quality or not, how you can evaluate? By taking samples, you can evaluate. Ethical issues. Whether he has involved any ethical issues related things or not, how to ensure obtain confirmation from. So that table is the answer for this question. So I'm not going to give that answer now. So that table is the answer for this question. So write your second. Okay. This question, the assistant accountant of ABC Private Limited wants to understand the purpose of preparing bank reconciliations. In the straightforward thing, discuss the importance of bank reconciliation in cash management. Okay. What's the purpose of preparing bank reconciliation? Whether cash book balances and bank statement balances are matched or not, tallied or not. What are the reasons for differences? Unsuspected checks and unrelated checks. You can call those differences as timing difference. So errors in bank we rarely return checks and errors in the cash. So these are the reasons. So purpose of preparing the bank reconciliation is first whether cash book and bank balances are tallied, and if differences are available, that differences must be reconciled. Identified, reconciled. The summary of the right answer. The cash book balance should be checked. The cash book balance should be checked. The cash book balance should be checked. The cash book balance should be checked against the balance in the cash book balance should be checked against the balance in the bank's record. Against the balance in the bank's record. Bank record in bracket right bank statements. Okay, bank statements against the bank records, bracket bank statement at regular basis. At regular basis. This is known as bank reconciliation. It is known as bank reconciliation. The purpose of bank reconciliation. The purpose of bank reconciliation. First point. Right. The purpose of bank reconciliation. Subtopic. Okay. Subtopic. The purpose of bank reconciliation. First point. Check whether the bank balance, the balance in the cash book. Check whether the balance in the cash book. Check whether the balance in the cash book and the balance in the bank records and the balance in the bank records balance in the bank records can be made to agree. Can be made to agree. Can be made to agree. Second point, identify errors in cash books. Identify errors in cash. Third point, identify errors in bank. Identify errors in bank. In bracket, right? Rarely. And timing, fourth point, timing differences such as unrealized and unpresented checks. Such as unrealized and unpresented checks. Identify unrealized and unpresented checks. In bracket, sorry. Identify timing differences in bracket, right? Unpresented and unrealized checks. Okay. So when you are coming to next class, right? Question answers for these 4 questions. Okay. Anyone? Answer already in. So write the answer across. Okay. Write the answer for this four questions. These three questions and four questions and answer. Okay. And the major correct question. Major of the key and the answer again. Answer again. Make a module the speed convert. Okay. Answer again. So just write answer for question number 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, 9, 10, 11. Okay. 4 questions, write the answer and what's up for name. Time is before wasted. Okay, you will have a break, and after that, you will start to discuss internal control.
Colombo. Ahorita la vara. Hombre, ¿sabes? Hombre, girls. Ah, sí, es very chica, ready. Ahí para el está muy guapo. Sí, para que va por. Sí, va a ser ahí va para que por ahí la línea, para comer la ni para que.
It's nice. Oh, they look at that. Oh my God, he can live. Yes. Yeah. Let me get closer. You want to try?
Our next topic is the second chapter. Controls. Your syllabus will be covered through internal control. So you will get 35% of marks of internal controls. But internal controls, like business process, can stop my classes, including today. So internal controls, even though that contains internal control chapters contains 35%, you have only 2 years. Okay, but business process, even though that covers 5%, it has 7 years. Okay, because chapters are 7 chapters. Internal controls only 2 units are there, but 2 Qs, 12 topics are there. So this is new to you, not like business process. If you know, I tell business sales process or business process, you would have heard those things before we discussed. Okay. So business process like sales process, cash management, payroll, some type of knowledge you gain from your practical life also. So here internal controls also, you know about internal controls. Okay, the business process we discuss internal controls. Internal controls examples you know. So here we are going to discuss other topics in relation to the internal controls. Clear? So that part you should keep in your mind. So here we are not going to discuss about the internal control examples. Already those things we have discussed under business process. So here other aspects, we have 12 other topics. Those topics only we are going to discuss from now on. Okay. So here internal control. Under internal control, first topic. But this first topic I didn't include in the due. First, on internal control, you should know about examples. Okay. What are the internal control examples? So I ask, tell me few examples of internal control. What are the examples you can give? So what would be your answer? What are the internal control examples? Employees. What are the internal control examples? What are the internal control example? Tell me what are the internal control examples? Lot of examples we discuss. Tell me 5 examples internal controls. Actually, internal control example. Class yang pura kata kan mana nih? Iya, internal control example ya kian na? Apa? Pura lecture udah berapa liter? System access controls, okay. Ah, kian gitu? Internal controls orang kian yang hari ini nak kian? Just I need few controls examples. A lot of things we have discussed under business process now. Sales, let's say sales process. What are the internal controls? What are the internal controls involved in the sales process? Okay. Tawat easy karam nangku. Purchase process thank you ani. I park na steps ke guna kiya. Under purchase process, what are the steps, activities involved? Just tell me what are the activities involved in the purchase process? Just now you told me no. Again, tell me. Identification of date finding. So, okay. Device, okay, fine. Next one. Quotation receiving and yeah, quotation receiving. So that is one type of control. Why we should receive quotation? Why we should receive quotation? The first class itself, I told, business process activities equal to internal controls. Whatever activities you perform in the business processes, those are internal controls. Okay. Example, receiving quotation. Why organizations should receive quotation? In order to select the supplier. So without receiving the quotation, they can select the supplier. Whoever they want, they can select the supplier. Why they should receive the quotation? Before, why are these things? Okay. If I ask any questions about purchase process controls or sales process controls, then you should be able to give answers automatically. Okay. You should click answers. First thing you should remember, again, I am telling, first thing you should remember, business process activities are internal control. Okay, whatever activities involved in the business process, that is equal to internal control. What are the activities involved in the purchase process? Receiving quotation. Okay. Why we should receive quotation? Receiving quotation approval check by A, approved by B, that is also control, but receiving quotation itself, that is a control. Why we should receive the quotation? Without receiving the quotation, can't be selling the suppliers. Why? Without receiving the quotation, can't be selling the suppliers. I selected where is it? Like overland kila me. Cricket shop में की बड़ू करना उठा quotation ना. Without receiving the quotation, can't be select the suppliers. So can't be purchase the goods from supplier. Where is that? Where is the Puluang? Puluang. Then why we should receive the quotations? Objective is low quoted price supplier should be selected. So why low quoted supplier should be selected? Without receiving the quotation, if we purchase the goods, then sometimes we may pay more money. So in order to reduce that cost, we are asking quotations. So what's the risk? What is the risk if we are not receiving the quotation? Paying more money. That's the risk. 100 rupees quotation है 100 rupees का spend करना होने का quotation इल्ला नहीं था 150 का spend करा. So 50 rupees extra payment. So that is the risk. So receiving quotation itself a control. To reduce that risk, they have implemented quotation control. After selecting the supplier, sending purchase order. I purchase order send करना तो return purchase order sell करना तो purchase करना where is it? Quotation supply select करना and ये supply की कुछ नहीं करना होगा. So whether can't be purchased without sending purchase order? Can or can't? Can. I verbally can approve and confirm यावन्ने के लिए stocks ठीक है. Why then we should send the written document called purchase order? In order to keep the records. Then verbally किया other monkey call करला just send 10 quantities. क्या verbally किया ना over the phone. तो यार send करना goods ठीक. Once we receive the goods, then we can tell no, we didn't order the goods. One of the proof team. That is risk. So in order to mitigate that risk only, in written document called PO should be sent. So that is the control. So simple thing. Forget about sales or purchase or cash management, inventory, whatever. Forget about those things. Just keep this logic in your mind. If any risk is there, in order to mitigate that risk, any activity adopted by any person, that is called internal control. That's called control. Risk आपने तो control कौन है? risk එකක් නැතුව control එකක් ඕනේද නැද්ද? දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ හිතනවා risk එකක් නැහැ කියලා. Then whether we need to place control or not. 10 activities තියෙනවා. as an example. ඒ 10 activities වල 8ක් risk තියෙනවා, 2ක් risk නැහැ. එනේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට harm නැහැ. 8ක් harm තියෙනවා. control එකෙන් place කරන්නේ අර 8කටද නැත්නම් 2කටද? Wherever you notice risk only, you have to mitigate that risk. Then only you should implement the controls. Without risk means, no risk means, no need to place controls. Why? You should place controls by incurring cost. If no any risk, if no any risk is there. Why you should incur cost to place the controls? So if you incur the cost to place the controls, you should get the benefit from that control. That benefit should be more than that cost what you are incurring. Okay. So if risk is not there, means implementing control also useless. Okay. So that's why I'm saying the logic point is if any activity, if any activities are done in order to mitigate the risk, that is called control. Okay. Any activity. Okay. Class එක පටන් ගන්නකොට simple example එකක් කිව්වා. ඇයි bag එක close කරන්නේ කියලා. නැත්තම් මොනවද වෙන්නේ? laptop එක වටිනවා. That's risk. So that's also control. So that's simple our day-to-day life control. So any activity, if any person does in order to mitigate the control, sorry, in order to mitigate the risk, that is not control. So with this explanation, just apply this explanation into sales, purchase, cash management, inventory. So what are the controls available in the purchase? I have separately given also. What are the activities, what are the internal controls available in the purchase? Raising quotation, receiving quotation, sending PO, approval of PO, GRN, purchase order and invoice comparison. Okay. Before making the payment approval, those are the controls. Okay, why we should check GRN, invoice and PO? Whether ordered goods are received, whether received goods are paid. That's the thing. That's the comparison. Receive කරපු goods එකකට payment එක කරන්න යන්නේ, pay කරපු order කරපු goods එකද ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. That's the comparison. Why that control must be there? To avoid payment for non-received goods. That's the risk. Then 10 quantities we have received, but if you are not checking that process, if you are not checking that 3-day document process, then what will happen? Sometimes we might have received 8 quantities. If you are not checking means, then we may pay for 15 quantities. So that's the risk. 5 quantities, we may pay more. So in order to reduce that risk, this control is placed. So that's the logic. So whatever activity done in order to, whatever activities are done in order to reduce the risk, that activity called controls. Okay. Examples. Create GRN, comparing GRN and if we take purchase or the purchase process, creating GRN document, comparing GRN documents with the invoices and PO, approval of GRN. Okay. At the same time, once you receive the goods from your supplier, first in the store you have to record in the bin card or computerized system. That's also control. When you send the goods to or raw materials to production department, at the time of sending the goods, you should issue material transfer note. That's also control. Why we should issue material transfer note? How much quantity we have sent to the production department? In order to keep those records. Then, if we don't maintain that material transfer note, what will happen? We don't know how much we have sent to production department. So these are the risks. To mitigate those risks, we are generating material issue note. We are issuing material transfer note or material issue note. So each and every activity equal to internal control. Okay, in the business process. So why those controls are placed to mitigate the risk? So examples of controls, if it is payment voucher approval, payment voucher check, compare the payment voucher and comparison of payment voucher and invoices, those are internal control. On the other hand, sales process, receiving sales confirmation, get the signature from the customer once you dispatch the goods, invoice approval, sending customer settlement statement, the customer account. These all activities are internal controls. When it comes to purchase order, receiving PO, purchase process, receiving PO, checking GRN, before making the payment approved by the relevant authorized person, that's also control. When it comes to inventory, when you receive the goods, at the time of receive the goods, you should mark in your bin card or computer system in order to how much you have received. If you send the goods to the production department or outside, that also you should mark in the bin card or computer system by how many quantities I have received, how many quantities I have sent to the outside. So in order to keep those records, if we don't keep those records, what will happen? We may lose the inventory. In order to mitigate that risk, this control is placed. Okay. When it comes to cash management, preparing bank reconciliation itself, control. If you don't prepare the bank reconciliation, what will happen? Bank reconciliation approve check secondary controls. Preparing the bank reconciliation itself is a control. Okay, why we should prepare the bank reconciliation? Just now we discussed. Why? In order to identify the cash, in order to identify the difference between the cash book and bank statement. If both are carried, no issue. So if we don't prepare the bank reconciliation, what will happen? If any difference has taken place, we are not in a position to identify why these differences are raised. Any purpose? Then bank record then mass bank record company mono. It's say 6 month bank reconciliations were not performed by the company. What will happen? Why does the bank record prepare mono? Aquela monkey, 8%, 20% monthly current, weekly current. Why does the person Patangani Masa bank record? The ultimate unidentified banks is also clear. You are not in a position to identify the differences. Okay, so unwanted problem may come if you don't prepare the bank reconciliation at regular basis. Okay. Why we should prepare the bank reconciliation at regular basis? To avoid this type of problem. Okay, so if you don't prepare the bank reconciliation, means it's a major indication for fraud. Reconciliation bank cash book bank statement fraud observe he can easily do the fraud. So these are the risks. In order to mitigate that risk, fraudulent activities, bank reconciliation must be prepared. After preparation of bank reconciliation, that must be checked by accountant and should finance manager or financial controller should approve that bank reconciliation. So these are the controls available in the business. Okay. Another simple question I will ask. The vehicles motorbike like vehicles maintain every 5,000 kilometers. Car van every 5,000 kilometers. Every 5,000 kilometers you should do the service. Right? You should change the oil every 5,000 kilometers. So why we should do that? So up to now we have discussed this organization related controls, this also type of organization related controls. But okay, let's discuss some practical our day-to-day life. For example, if we don't do the service at regular interval, let's say at regular interval 5,000 kilometers, what happened to the vehicle? Then why we should do service every 5,000 kilometers? Why we should do? Hey, oil ഒക്കെ മാറി പറഞ്ഞോ നീ? Technical answer just only 5,000 kilometers. 5,000 or 5,500, 6,000. That is economy important. Hey, regular interval. With why we should do series in order to reduce the repair cost. If we don't do that one, human again machines repair maintain at regular interval. They can also machine. So if we don't do the do service at regular interval, it may create unwanted repair cost. That's the risk. In order to mitigate that one, we are doing the service. So not only the vehicle, on the other hand, machines. Some machines also need regular services. Oil changing, likewise, some regular maintenance should be needed. Should be needed for some machines. Okay, so this is also controlled. So that's why I told whatever activities involved to mitigate the risk, that is equal to control. So examples already we discussed in business process. You can write lot of examples. Okay. So next topic, our Q. The first topic included in our Q is objectivity of internal controls. Objectives of internal controls. Okay. Objectives of internal controls. So now you know examples of internal controls. Okay. Few examples we already discussed. Why these internal controls are implemented? Why these internal controls are placed in the organization? First one, reduce the risk. Not to reduce the risk only, controls are implemented. By reducing the risk, what is the objective they are going to achieve? Reducing the risk is okay. By reducing the risk, by placing the internal control, they will reduce the risk. By reducing the risk, what is the objective? What are the objectives organizations will achieve? That is called objective. It's called internal controls objectives. There are 3 objectives. So whatever internal controls you know, you can link to these 3 objectives. Okay. Reduce the risk is the main objective. Okay. By reducing the risk, we are going to achieve these objectives. After implementing the internal controls, automatically internal risk will be reduced. If it is effective internal control, okay. I use that effective word, we will discuss later. If it is effective internal control, then internal control will help organization to reduce the risk. So by reducing the risk, we can achieve these objectives. What are those objectives? After discussing this objective, independently you can apply logically. Let's say, just write 10 internal controls. Okay. Whatever you know, just write internal control. After discussing this one, just yourself, just try this one. Okay, then only you can understand. Just write 10 internal controls. Whatever you know. It doesn't mean purchase or whatever. What of the internal control that, yeah. And link that internal control, which objective will be fulfilled. Definitely, out of these 3, out of these 3 objectives will be fulfilled by any internal control. Which means any internal controls objectives are one of these things. Okay, what are those objectives? First one, enhance reliability of financial reporting. Enhance reliability of financial reporting. Second one, enhance efficiency and effectiveness enhance efficiency and effectiveness of business operation. First one, enhance reliability of financial reporting. Second one, enhance efficiency and effectiveness of business operation. Third one, ensure compliance of so examples you know of. What are the examples? Internal controls. So what are you should know about the examples? At least 10. Okay. So don't no need to memorize these examples. Okay. Just understand. If you take business sales business process, if you know the activities, then automatically you know the internal controls involved in the business sales process. If you know purchase process activities, automatically you know purchase process, it's internal controls, cash management, payment voucher accrual, bank reconciliation accrual, those are the internal controls. So whatever internal controls, whatever internal controls, those internal controls objectives are one of objective is one of these three. Okay, first one is enhance reliability of financial reporting. Okay. Second one is enhance efficiency and effectiveness of business operation. Third one, ensure compliance of laws and regulations. Okay. What are the examples of enhanced reliability of financial reporting? One of the theory finance may enhance reliability of financial reporting. One of the main way. One of the one understand that. But what do you understand about enhanced reliability of financial reporting? You want to implement internal control. Okay. By implementing internal controls, you are going to achieve reliability of financial reporting. What is meant by financial reporting? What is meant by financial reporting? What is meant by financial reporting? Financial reporting ke liye kiyane ke monod. It's a Last area, financial reporting, okay, fine. I'm not going to discuss that in that level, that extent. So if anyone asks you, just tell me example of financial reporting, what is the example you can give? Simple. Financial reporting in a theory. Okay, standards. Financial reporting standard. I didn't ask you about the standard. Financial reporting. If anyone asks you about finance, what is meant by financial reporting? Financial statements. Simple. Just we will. Intention one of the bigger killer. So what is so here let's say financial reporting means financial statement example. Okay, so now we need to enhance the reliability of financial statement. What is meant by enhance the reliability? Okay. Reliability of financial statement can mean. What is meant by reliability of financial statement? The figures or amounts mentioned in the financial statement should be correct. Okay. Without technical discuss. Okay. So here, reliable financial reporting means the figures included in the financial statement should be correct, accurate. Accurate amount should be included. They can reliable. So let's say, example. Reliable financial reporting. One of the main financial reporting is up. I understand. So reliability, to increase the reliability means if you can rely on the financial statement means that's the good side. The amounts included in the financial statements are correct. Okay. Okay. Let's take one example. One organization accountant has received invoice valued of 100,000. One organization accountant has received invoice, let's say printing and stationery cost 100,000 invoice he has received. So what is the amount company should pay to the supplier? They have received 100,000 invoice. Then what is the amount company should pay to the supplier? What's the amount? 100,000. If they receive 100,000 invoice, then they have to make the payment for 100,000. Okay, that is clear. Let's say that company does not have any internal controls in relation to the payment process. Same person receive invoice, same person create payment voucher, same person will generate payment transaction. What will happen? What again? Never fraud idea. Fraud करने chances दिए. Okay. Why? Same person receive invoice from the supplier. Okay. Same person will create the payment voucher. Same person will involve the payment process to the supplier. If he wants, he can make payment voucher 120 and he can get the money 120 from the account and he can pay only 100,000 to the supplier and 20,000 he can keep. Invoice is indicating okay 100,000. But if no any segregation duties mean, what will happen? Fraud activities can be answered. If same person involved. Then what is the amount? Okay, then what is the amount will be appeared in the financial statement as printing and stationery. What's the amount? Because 100,000 actual cost. But they have made 120. According to the company's book, stationery cost is 120. Okay, then what is the amount will be appear in the financial statement as printing and stationery? 120. 120 because actual payment According to the company's point of view, company's books, actual payment is 120. But actually they have paid. But substance, actually that's relevant cost is 100. 20 is taken by 20,000 is taken by accountant. Okay. But actual cost is 100. Okay. Invoice cost is 100, but company has paid 120. Financial statement also indicate 120, but 20,000 not actual cost. 20,000 is lost because of not availability of internal control. Okay. So here, if that is the scenario. Okay. If that company introduce internal controls, simple internal control, segregation of duties. Several times I told segregation of duties is most important internal control when it comes to organization point of view. Okay. So scenario one, the company has not any internal controls. Same person involved, same person collected invoices, same person created payment vouchers, same person involved in payment processing. Actual cost is 100,000, but company has paid 120 according to the books. 100,000 taken by 100,000 given to supplier, 20,000 taken by the employee. Fraud has happened. Fraud has been happened. Okay, this is the first scenario. Now, according to that first scenario, what will happen? What was happened? Financial statements indicate wrong amount. Okay. If you are a shareholder of that company, if you see the financial statements, according to the financial statement, stationery cost is 120. Whether that is correct or wrong? Wrong. Even take a 120 if not 120 remaining actual cost is 100. That's wrong. So reliability. Why reliability is not there? Because controls are not there. Second scenario, if that company places internal controls, which is called internal control segregation of duties, then this fraud will not be happen. Why? Invoice collected by account assistant. Account assistant prepared the payment voucher and accountant check the payment voucher and relevant invoices before making the payment. Finance manager also will check payment voucher and invoices. These controls are placed. Then account assistant cannot do the fraudulent activity. Segregation duties, internal control is there. Then they can't involve the fraudulent activity. Actual cost is 100. Financial reporting also will show 100. So what is the objective? One of the objective is enhance reliability of financial reporting. Okay, enhance reliability of financial reporting. So what are the internal controls related to these objectives? Payment voucher approval, reconciliation of bank reconciliation, receiving GRN. Why we should compare GRN, invoices and PO? If we don't compare, what will happen? We will pay to the supplier, not receive goods also. Then what will happen? Extra cost will be incurred in the financial reporting. Actually, we have received 100,000 of stock, but we have paid 150,000 to customer, the supplier. Then 50,000 stock is not available in our location. Financial reporting picture of the penalty. No. So in order to enhance the reliability of financial reporting, certain controls are placed. Examples, approvals. Lot of things. If you take every processes, if you take majority of controls related to financial reporting. Let's take quotation receipt. Why quotation? Correct amount. PO. Invoice. Getting signature from the customer once you deliver the goods. Right? Correct amount should be invoiced. So that invoice amount should link to financial reporting. Approval process. Bank reconciliation preparation. Inventory reconciliation. Physical and book balances. PP, FAR and book balance comparison. All these are related to financial reporting. If these controls objective is enhance reliability of financial reporting. Okay, clear? Any doubt? So if you take majority of controls are related to the first thing. It doesn't mean we don't have any other controls related to second objective. We have enhance efficiency and effectiveness of business operation. Let's take my previous example. I took this vehicle maintenance. Let's take distributors. For distributors, what is the important asset in their organization? For distributors, what is the most important asset they should keep properly in their organization? Machineries. Distributors you were calling that on all the distributors. Distributors hold. So I'm like, distributors still are distributors called. What is their job? What is the main work of distributors? Purchase and sale. They are collecting from manufacturers. They are also doing the business. Okay, they are not an agent. They are also business. They will collect from the, let's say they are purchasing from manufacturers and they will deliver. For that, they will get profit or they will get commissions. It depends on the case. Okay. So in order to do that activity, what is the asset they should have in their organization? Let's say they are located in Colombo. Their end customers are located in particular God or Nuerelia. So in order to deliver the goods to their end customers, distributors, what is the asset they should have? They should have lorries, vehicles. Okay, the buying distributor for that, they should have vehicles. So distributors, they should have vehicles, lorries. So their main asset is not machineries because they are not involved in manufacturing activities. They are not involved in packing activities. Okay, their responsibility is collecting goods from relevant manufacturers and that should be delivered to the customers. So it's for distributors, distributing. So for distributors, they should have vehicles, especially lorries, okay, or van, depends on their what is it. So they should have vehicles. That vehicle should be in a proper condition. Okay, in a proper condition. In order to keep those vehicles in a proper condition, they should do maintenance at regular intervals. For example, every 5,000 kilometers, or 3,000 kilometers, or 6,000 kilometers. So that is operation related, not financial reporting related. Maintenance financial reporting that is operation related. So in order to enhance effectiveness and efficiency of operation, organizations have certain controls. Those controls objective is second one. Okay. So if you take manufacturing companies, for them, most important asset is machines. So machines also should be maintained at regular interval, properly maintained. Sales should be done. Okay. So oil should be changed. Certain machines need these things at regular interval. Oil should be changed and maintenance should be done at regular basis. If they don't do that, what will happen? If they don't do that, what will happen? That particular machines will not give expected output. The unit C produce maintenance units produce. So it will affect to the operation of the company. So in order to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of the operation, certain controls should be placed. What are those controls? Maintenance of machines and vehicles. Third one, in order to ensure compliance also, organization should place controls. Examples: EBFEDM. Let's say EBFEDM that will relate to the financial reporting also, but we take EPFEDF on or before 15. Sorry, following month they have to make the payment. 30th, ne? Following month 30th they have to make the payment. If WST payments on or before 15 they have to make following month. If VAT payments, those are linked to financial reporting also, but we will take the compliance side only. So in order to check that compliances, certain companies have controls. Those are related to compliance related controls. On the other hand, if we take some food manufacturer companies, food related companies, or medicine manufacturers, these pharmaceutical companies are there, no? Those companies should maintain their quality. Okay, food manufacturer companies should maintain the hygiene. Medicine manufacturer company should maintain the components. Even the components, then tablet manufacture करना एक components input minimum components requirements input comply it will affect to their business. Okay, so that is compliance later. So in order to check whether those requirements are complied or not, companies will place controls. Those controls objective is ensuring the compliance and regulations. So in summary, if you take any controls, you can check independently also. If you take any controls, those controls objective is one of these three. Definitely one of these three. If you make a network, just independently you can try. Okay. These are the objectives of internal control. So internal controls, these are the topics we are going to discuss. Under this, first one, internal controls. Internal control is the process undertaken to provide reasonable assurance about the achievement of the entity's objectives with regard to reliability of financial reporting, effectiveness and efficiency of operations, compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Okay, the objectives. Internal control is process undertaken to provide reasonable assurance about the achievement of entity's objective with regard to entity's objectives with regard to these. In simple form, objectives. Reliability of financial reporting, effectiveness and efficiency of operations, compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Internal control, it is designed and effected by those charged with governance, management, and other personnel. Internal control is concerned with the risks that organization faces. It reduces risk at level business process and operations. Main objective is reducing the risk. By reducing the risk, organization objectives related to these areas should be achieved. Okay. Next topic. Third topic. Most important topic. Components. Components of internal control. Components of internal control. Components of internal. First of all, you will understand the topic. If so, we are gonna making important. Okay. First, objective is how internal controls objectives are related to these areas. Sorry, how internal controls are related to these objectives. Okay. How internal controls are related to these objectives. That's why I try to use some examples. Okay. Each area I have given the examples. Anyway, this part we are going to discuss later also under types. So now, second point, we are going to discuss about components of internal controls. If you take organization internal controls, that internal controls, you have these components. All these internal controls are designed through these components. Okay. So then components like you internal control maybe fast meaning internal controls components means in order to get effective successful internal control. Okay. What is mean by effective internal successful internal control? Agana link important. The topics like discuss important. The connection important. What is mean by okay, internal control you know. If I ask you to write internal controls, you can provide 10 or 15 or 30, 50 internal controls, you can provide, no issue. What is mean by effective, successful internal control? Successful word is not available, not technical word. Technical word is effective internal control. Effective internal control. So in the layman, to understand purpose, I can say successful internal control. What is mean by successful internal control? Then overall successful student kila kiyana monada mean වෙන්නේ. Overall successful student kila kiyana monada mean වෙන්නේ. වෙනවද නැද්ද කියලා මම කියුවේ නෑ. මොනවද mean වෙන්නේ කියලා තමයි. Successful student kila kiyana monada mean වෙන්නේ. Hari. हम एग्जाम में सक्सेसफुली कंप्लीट करा के क्यों मोनो मीन पास होना और ऑब्जेक्टिव मार्क्स पास बनेगा नहीं 40 मार्क्स लाने के नहीं 40 मार्क्स लाने के नहीं एक ऑब्जेक्टिव ऐसा आना तो सही भाई आना A plus A करना नहीं A plus O B plus O C plus पास लेने का objective. So if you achieve your objective, that is successful. Okay. The same thing, same concept you can apply here also. If that particular internal control achieves its objective, that is effective internal control. Okay. Let's say payment voucher approved by finance manager. That's one of the internal controls. If that internal control achieves its objective, then that is effective internal control. It's successful. Okay, but don't write successful. Effective. That technical word is effective internal control. So which means each and every internal control has its intended objective. Okay. In the broad manner, we can say internal controls objectives are these things. Okay. In the broad manner, we can say internal controls objectives are these things. Okay. But Each and every internal controls has specific objective. Okay. Make a objective, make it deviate with that. Make actually some objective. Each and every internal control has specific objective. If that internal control achieves that specific objective, then that is effective internal control. Without any compromise, that particular internal control achieves that specific objective. That specific objective called intended objective. Okay, technical words, intended objective. So each and every internal control has its intended objective. If that internal control achieves its intended objective, then that internal control called effective internal control. Clear? So if an internal control, if an internal control wants to be an effective internal control, then these components should be available. This component should be properly worked. Then only that particular internal controls will become an effective internal control. Okay. Again, I'm saying each and every internal control has intended objective. If that internal control achieves its intended objective, then that is called effective internal control. Okay. If that control if that control is effective internal, then how we can categorize that control is effective internal control? If that control achieves the objective. If that control wants to achieve its objective, then that control should have these components. If that controls designed through these components, then it can achieve its objective. When you are creating the internal control by using these components, components parts okay. I'm trying to explain components parts name. Control sticker parts name internal control design main factor sticker consider main factor sticker. These factors must be used in proper manner. These factors must be considered. Okay, this is not a parts. Okay, don't misunderstand. In order to achieve effective internal control, when you are designing the internal control, these factors must be properly used. Factors must be considered properly. Okay, so what are those factors? First one. Control environment. Control environment. Each and every topics each and every topic I will give like this. Okay. In the short form, detailed version we will discuss in the tube. First one, control environment. Second one, risk assessment. So just keep in your mind. So this will be continued next class also. This control these components. One thing you should keep in your mind. Carefully keep in your mind. This, in order to get effective internal control, in order to convert normal internal control to effective internal control, these components should be used in proper manner. And these components should be considered. How these components can be considered to get effective internal control? Okay. Risk assessment, control activities, Information and communication. And last one. Monitoring. So out of these 5 components, control environment is little bit tricky. Okay, now we will discuss that one. If you don't understand control environment, ask me again. So out of these 5 control components, 5 components, this control environment is little bit tricky. Okay, others are straightforward. Discussment, control activities, information and communications and monitoring. Those are straightforward. Control environment only little bit tricky part. Okay, what is meant by control environment? What is mean by control environment? What is mean by control environment? The control environment is the framework which control operates. Okay. The control environment is the framework within which control operates. In simply, I can say, let's take organization. If we take an organization, that organization has a lot of controls, internal controls. Sales process, purchase process, cash management, likewise. Even provision also, if they want to make a provision, they have to follow certain controls for a process. That provision must have calculations. Then then other process happening. Don't misunderstand. If you take an organization, that organization has only those 6 controls, 6 processes. If you take finance statement, whatever accounts they have each process, even provision. Let's say bonus provision. If they want to make provision or incentive provision, they should follow the process. That provision must have a calculation. That calculation must be approved by the appropriate person. That calculation must have input, reasonable input. Likewise, they should have proper process. So here, if you take an organization, that organization has a lot of controls. Okay, that controls operates in specific environment. Okay, what is the specific environment? Organization and organization related that environment. That organization within the organization and the transaction related to that organization happen environment. Okay, let's say not only inside, outside also control environment. I will take one example. Let's take sales process. Okay, sales process has certain internal controls. Basic payment of the sales invoices, control invoices, basic dispatch. Those are internal controls available in the sales process. Those controls are available within the organization. Certain controls are placed outside the organization. What are those controls? Getting signature from the customer. Once you deliver the goods, you should get the signature from the customer, acknowledgement from the customer. That control is placed within the organization, outside the organization. Outside the organization. Control is related to the organization, but that control is placed in outside the organization because customer sign once they receive the goods. So even though that is located in outside, that control is placed in outside company, but that is also will take as a control environment because that is related to the business operation, business process. So environment is framework within which controls operate. If we take 10 controls in the organization, wherever those controls are placed, wherever those controls are operated, those areas are control environment. Okay? We can't say only within the organization. Okay? Certain controls will be placed in outside the organization also. That control operates in outside the organization. That environment also control environment. Okay? Clear that? Out of these 5 elements is a little bit critical. So I didn't control environment topic is not finished yet. Okay? It's still there. First of all, control environment you should understand. What is meant by control environment? Wherever controls place, wherever controls operated, those areas called control environment. Inside or outside. Okay? During the, let's say, for example, then some other vehicles what are GPS system control. So during the traveling also controls can be placed. So that is also control environment. So don't misunderstand inside or outside. We can't define like that. Okay? Wherever controls operate, that environment control environment. Clear? Understand Karagan? Wherever controls place in relation to the organization operation, those entire environment we can take as a control environment. Okay? That is called control environment. Fine. Now, most important thing. This control environment includes governance and management functions and attitudes, awareness, actions of those are the governance. This control environment includes governance and management functions and the attitudes, awareness, and actions of those are the governance. Too much technical. Okay. Simple question I have answered. 40 marks ගන්නවද නැත්නම් 90 marks ගන්නවද කියලා කාගෙන්ද depend වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Fine. Exercise line එකල කියන්නේ එපා එකක් තිබුණා තියෙනවා. Okay. කවුද 40 marks එකකින් pass වෙනවද නැත්නම් A+ ගන්න ඕනද කියලා ඉතින් එකව. අපි කියමුකෝ let's take this is a process studying module 10 pass the examination. It's the process. Let's say like the business, like a sales or purchase process, this is also process. Okay. Study, with the exam and get to the exam. Okay. So you have an objective. What is your objective? Get to the exam. So this is study process is it's a like a sales process or purchase process. Equal to that. So whether I want to get 90 marks or I want to get 40 marks, who decides?
Myself.
Yourself. Okay. So that is thinking. In this process, who is the head? Who is the leader? Only one person is involved. Then pass. So let's say in this process, you are the head. You are the decision maker. Okay, whether I want to get 40 or whether I want to get 90 or whether I want to get 20, that is your decision. What again? Okay. So in this process, you are the decision maker. Your personal process, but you are the decision maker. So here you should. Here you have some attitude. Okay, you have some behavior. Okay, your thinking pattern, your culture. Then 40ක් තමයි ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා හිතන්න කෙනාට ඇවිල්ලා 90 ගන්න කියලා පුෂ් කරන්න බෑ. 90 ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා හිතන්න කෙනා දැන් 50 marks level එක තමයි ඉන්නවනම් ඒක පුෂ් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක වෙන දෙයක්. ට්‍රේන් කරලා. හැබැයි මට 40 තමයි ඕනේ. මට ඊට වඩා ඕනේ නැහැ කියලා එතන කෙනාට කියලා 90 ගන්න කියලා කියන්න බෑනේ. ඒක බෑ. Okay. So first of all, in order to achieve that objective, okay, pass the examination. Whether pass the examination by getting 90 marks or 40 marks is your decision, your individual decision. In this, if you take a process, that is your decision. Okay. So final result also will be determined by your decision. Okay. So if you want to get 50, then you will pass with 50 marks. If you want to A plus, then you will get more than 80 or 85. The final output will be decided by your decision. That decision is the first initial step. After that, you have to work hard. That is separate thing that I will come later. But first of all, you should think first. Mata 90 marks only kira think karano. Okay. Then only throughout the 3 months, 4 months period, you should take certain decisions, certain activities you have to adapt and you have to implement those things. Self study and revisions. Likewise, you have to do certain activities to in order to achieve that objective. As the first step, you should think first. I want to get 90 marks. Or I want to get 40 marks. Okay. It depends on your final decision, final output will be decided by your initial thinking, your attitude. Okay. Clear, Megan? May process clear? Or you want to explain again? Whether this process is clear? If you want to get 90 marks, if you want to get A plus, first category, you should decide, you should think, yes, I want to get 90 marks. As a first initial step, first thing, you should decide, you should think. That is your culture. Okay? It's your attitude, your behavior. First, you should think. Likewise, in the organization also, if they want whether effective internal control, or if they want internal control in light manner, or they don't need internal control, that decision, that output will be determined, will be decided, will be dependent on head of organization's decision. Okay, who is the head of organization? The organizing process, you know the head taker. Unfortunately, only one person is involved. Who are involved in the organizing process, you know the head taker. Likewise, in the organization process, if you take organization, who is there? No, organization operation process. Shareholder is the owner. If I take organization operation, who is there? Board of directors. Directors are the head of operation. Okay. So in your case, final objective of passing the examination is depend on your decision, initial decision, your attitude, your behavior, your thinking pattern. Okay. Likewise, final internal control result, whether effective internal control they want, or they don't need any internal control, or they need internal control in light manner. Okay. The output of internal control result will be decided by as an initial step by first will be decided in the control environment, head of organization, directors. First, they should think, yes, I need to implement internal control in the proper manner. දැන් මම හිතනවා නම් මම තමයි ඩිරෙක්ටර් නම් දැන් ඉන්ටර්නල් කන්ට්‍රෝල් ගොඩාක් එක්ස්පෙන්ස් එක ඉන්කර් කරලා මට මේක ඉන්ටර්නල් කන්ට්‍රෝල් එක ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් කරන්න බෑ. I don't need to incur so much money to implement these internal controls. I need these basic internal controls. With that, we can control. If I think like that, output will I won't get effective internal control output. Okay, so this final output of internal control will be dependent on first decisions made by the directors. What's the first decision? They should think, yes, I need to implement control in the proper manner. If they think like that, with other components, they can achieve that target. If they think, no, I don't need to implement strong controls because in order to implement strong controls, I want to incur more cost. So I don't need to incur more cost. So I want light manner. Basic internal controls only I need. With that, I can conclude the internal control process. If they think like that, then output also will be like same. So here you should remember one thing: the internal control output will be decided by several factors. One of the factors, I would say, initial factor is head of organization's attitude and their culture. Okay, they are thinking pattern. ඉස්සලාම ඒගොල්ලෝ හිතන්න ඕනේ control එක ඕනේද නැද්ද කියලා. Control strong controls ඕනේ කියලා හිතුවොත් if they want to implement strong controls, okay, then no issue. They can do the rest of the things. They can do rest of the things and they can implement the strong controls. First of all, they have to think, I need these controls. I want to implement strong controls. Okay. I want to implement these strong controls and I want to get this objective. So that is called control environment. Okay, that's the one explained here. Functions and attributes, awareness and actions of those charged with governance. Who is those charged with governance? Those charged with governance. How the government operation? Board of directors. So attitudes, awareness, actions, their culture towards the internal control is most important to develop the control environment. Whether the control environment is strong or control environment is weak, that will be decided based on the attitude, functions, awareness, and actions of those charged with governance. In simple way, we can say board of directors. Okay. Further discussion also we will do next class. We will continue this session with next class. So they wind up with this.